You literally just got back to the United States.
Yes.
You stayed in China after, and I post-Olympics, I don't know if you went through this, but I used to get the Olympic blues, they call them. You know, it's like you have all this energy and everything in your focus is towards this event. And then afterwards, it was like the Olympic blues, this like post-Olympic depression. Did you get that, or were you like, oh, hell yes, I am just so glad that's done, because that was a lot of pressure?
That is such an amazing question, because I feel like only people who are really in the industry or like really have that experience can understand it. And you're so right. I mean, I was prepared for it because I'd heard about it before, and I'm really into psychology, so like reading books on, you know, how the brain works and adrenaline, right, and like the way that our cortisol levels crash, and that makes us prone to sickness and things like that. But it was so different than what I expected. I think that it was more a opportunity, one, to learn more about myself and see who I wanted to be and what I was after skiing in that one moment, and who I wanted to be and what I wanted to create. And so it had this newfound purpose for me to find a new direction and like a new purpose, kind of. And so in that sense, I've always said that when you're skiing, it's the most personal form of expression. I'm doing it for myself. I do it because I love it. I'm breaking my own boundaries. I'm learning about resilience. I'm forming friendships and all of that all of those amazing things that come with skiing. But after the contest is when you actually do something with it. So you can win all the gold medals in the world, but when you just get home and put them on a table, you know, they just gather dust. But what if you take that platform that you get from sports and you do something with it? You talk to the young girls, you go meet them, you do charity events with them, you make moves on social media, and things that you can do to play your part in the next generation, which sounds crazy for me to say because I'm 18. But what I mean by that really is representation is so important, especially in extreme sports, right? When you think of like extreme sports, a lot of times it's a guy or a little bit older than me, or a different race than me, whatever. And so being able to be a young girl sitting at home watching TV and seeing someone on TV that looks like you or talks like you, or has similar experiences to you, it really changes what you think is possible for yourself. And so I think that that is so meaningful. Yep. And there's something so deeply rewarding and and just giving back. And so I think that that's kind of what I've learned from the post-Olympic depression. But another part of it is actually rediscovering your love for the sport, because I think in like the final months leading up to the contest, everyone's like, oh my God, Olympics, competing, it's so intense. But then afterwards you're like, okay, the contest is over, but the sport is still here. Yeah. And it's still mine, and it's still a piece of me, and it's still a way for me to express myself and to be me and to have fun, honestly, right? Sports are supposed to be fun. And so I'm really excited to get back on snow in a week or two.
Oh, we are going to talk about that for sure. Let's go back to that representation, because on that note, your dual heritage, both Chinese and American, grew up, born and raised, as you said, in San Francisco, California. But you would spend the summers in Beijing, where your mom is from and grew up. And so you're fluent in Mandarin, fluent in English, know both cultures well. Take me back to 15-year-old you, which is crazy, it's only 3 years ago. 15-year-old you, and that moment where you said, I'm going to represent China for this Olympics, and how that all played out.
Sure, yeah. So like you said, I'm fluent in Mandarin. I grew up in China for the summers. My mom was born in Beijing. And so for me, I think that sport has undeniably changed my life, right? It has built character. It has built resilience. It has allowed me to be physically and mentally healthier. And it really has given my life so much passion and purpose. And so I think that in China especially, a lot of people had never even heard of free skiing, especially at that point before the Olympics. And there were so many amazing female role models in the US that I grew up watching. And I was like, yeah, when I grow up, I want to be just like them. And then I was competing with them. And it was crazy. It was such a surreal moment to just look next to me at the start gate and be like, wow, you know, I grew up with you on TV. Would it be like inconsiderate if I like snuck a selfie right now? But yeah, and so I think that there wasn't someone like that in China. And especially with the Olympics being in China, there was a lot of viewership going into it. And China had set the goal of getting 300 million people on snow before the Olympics, which, I mean, that's a massive number. That's like the entire United States. Like, that is incredibly lofty goal. And so I was just thinking, you know, I want those people to be in free skiing. I want those people to be able to have those benefits that it's brought me. And I want them to hear about it for the first time from a young biracial girl. And I think that that is so meaningful, because the first time you hear about something, it can make or break it. And if it's from someone that you find relatable, or that you find represents you, then you're more likely to be like, okay, if she can do it, then I can do it. And if she can break her own boundaries, and if she can make herself better and better, and if she can have fun and smile the whole time while doing it, then I can too. And in that way, I've always said, if I can just inspire one young girl to start skiing and to kind of change her relationship with sport in that way, then it is so worth it. And so now reading those messages online, or meeting kids at events and things like that, every day it just reinforces that belief that my decision was worth it. And and I'm really, really, really happy with how far we've come. It's I think 346 million people on snow now in China, which is absolutely insane.
So they surpassed their goal. 346 million people?
Correct. Yeah.
Could you have ever anticipated that your decision would become so highly debated, contentious, and become part of almost a media circus?
Well, I don't think that I expected really that, but I also know that everybody has their own opinion, right? And I think sometimes when people don't know a backstory, or if they don't understand where I'm coming from, or a lot of the time people just choose not to listen. I can say 100 times, I'm doing this because I want to inspire more young girls in sport. I'm doing this because I want to introduce kids to free skiing, and I'm doing this to represent my and my mother's Chinese heritage. And if people don't believe that, and if they want to be like, she's doing it for XYZ, I can't do anything about that if they're just imposing their own thoughts, right? And so my response to that, and what I've really learned from that, is that I'm trying my best to make the world a better place in my own way. So right now, that's through sport. Right now, what I can do at the immediate moment is to introduce more young girls to free skiing, and to hopefully make their lives and to make sport culture better in that sense. If people don't like that, and if there are people who don't agree with me, like, that's totally fine, right? That's the beauty of being able to have that discussion. But they can feel free to make the world better in their own way. Like, if you don't like this way, awesome. Like, you guys can go do something else.
You do you.
You do you. And we can approach it from different situations, and the world benefits because of it.
Yeah.
So,
I did watch that first press conference over there, and I was like, wow. Like, it just kept coming and coming, right? And then at one point you said, hey, look, I'm just an 18-year-old trying to live my best me, right? Like, live my best life.
I did say that, yeah.
And I think, yeah, but also you're 18, and 2, you're in the middle of one misstep, one misstatement, with 2 countries that are having geopolitical tensions. On top of it, that had to have been hard for you in that situation with all the pressure on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Like you said, I'm 18, right? Like, I haven't even started college yet. I'm fresh out of high school, and people are, like, trying to make me this, like, geopolitical figure. Like, I don't have the power to, like, change 2 countries everything.
You kind of do, Eileen.
I'm just trying to...
Don't undersell yourself, sister.
What I mean by that, I think, is I'm just trying to do what I can, and a lot of things are out of my control, and I think instead of stressing about that, I just want to focus on my own message and on my own positivity, and making myself better and making the world better in my own way. And that's kind of all I can do.